It probably will not surprise you to learn that there is a growing number of interfaith marriages in the United States of America, but you may be surprised at how many there are. And before 1960, there were about 20% of all marriages, about 1 in 5, were marriages between two people who belonged to different faiths. However, in the first decade of the 21st century, that number has now risen to nearly 45%. Nearly 45% of all marriages in America take place between people who belong to different religions. All this is talked about in a new book, Till Faith Do Us Part, by Naomi Schaefer Riley, a former editor from the Wall Street Journal, by the way. In the book, she talks about the growing number of interfaith marriages, but that's not what's really interesting. What's most interesting about her findings in the survey that was taken among 2,500 Americans is that there is a growing number of failed marriages among those that are interfaith marriages. That's right. That means that an interfaith marriage is more likely to end in separation and divorce than one that is not an interfaith marriages. Now, this may not be surprising to you, but for a lot of people, it is, because they look at interfaith marriages as it's a triumph for the American melting pot. This is a sign of progress in society. We're more open, we're more inclusive. But statistics are telling us that there's only one problem. It doesn't work so well. Even though people may be interested in other religions, and even though there is perhaps an attraction between people of other religions, if you want a stable marriage, the values that you bring, the religion that you bring, is exceedingly important. Over half of all the people who said that religion is important to them never discussed how their children would be raised, in what religion they would be raised. Isn't that shocking? And that's what happens when the children come and they don't know whether to go to synagogue or to church, etc. That's when the problems really arise. And also, not surprisingly, but I believe quite tragically, is that the Jews lead the list. Jews are more likely to intermarry than any other religion. Mormons are the least likely to intermarry. But Jews, they're the most likely. I think it's time that we face this reality, and I think it's time we looked at it real closely, because when you try to speak to people who are intermarrying, a lot of times we say it's going to be a problem with Jewish continuity. Don't you care about Jewish continuity? But the fact is that that's not really what we should be telling them. What we should be telling them is that it just doesn't work. It doesn't work well. Too many problems, too many complications. The marital instability is overwhelming. And that, I believe, is the most important argument when you talk about the failure of intermarriage. What do you think? Do you think it's important to marry someone of the same faith? Or maybe this is overblown. Maybe it's not that important. Let us know. Is it important to marry someone of the same religion? Something very much to think about.